people follow the Abhidharma. In Abhidharma, they explain what is the sensation or emotion or feeling, okay, which is actually felt in experience of own object by its own power, okay. So the cessation and also the cessation, aggregate of cessation on, and also sometimes feeling or emotion as are actually same, okay, not really different. So in the aggregate of cessation can be actually divided into the three which are actually pleasant and painful, and other one is in the middle, which is neutral. We call Dongyam, is kind of equal. Okay, so all 6 steps of related to the sense, or which are actually feeling of consciousness, eye consciousness, sorry, and feeling of air consciousness to the mind consciousness. Okay, those 6 steps of actually the feeling, which is divided into 6. Then all those 6 also divided each and every, those feelings, 3 kind of, so one is pleasant, one is painful or unpleasant, and another one is neutral. So it comes, 18 different feeling. Okay, then those 18 different, feelings are, one is also becomes 36, which is 18 acceptance or 18 rejection or rejecting or whatever, maybe rejection, I don't know. Yeah, so that comes to 36. So those are the actually in Abhidharma, they mention it. Okay, so then also this is briefly, okay, how many we have feelings that we have. This is just a briefly, okay. Other than that, there's actually countless, according to individual experiences are different, This is but in the common, they divide it into like that, Sometimes we divide it into 3, sometimes 6, sometimes 18, sometimes 36. Then from those 36, also we can divide it into, past, present, and future, kind of like that, So there's many actually. So here actually, by mindfulness of feeling, we must actually examine that all kind of feeling are the nature of actually suffering or pain or torments is a problem which is actually represent of suffering. Okay, there's actually 3 kind of suffering, which is suffering of suffering and suffering of change, suffering of we can say all contaminated suffering actually. Okay, so these are the 3 main different, but represent, the pain or torments is a problem which is actually represent of suffering, and happiness is actually changeable, so which is actually represent of suffering of change. Okay, This suffering of change, which means that we all have actually temporary happiness, which means, it could be uh, changed within a second or within a moment, into suffering. So reason of that, this is one of the, people, maybe, some of, most of ordinary people without, sometimes in a Buddhism way, they explain, in this samsara, we don't have actually happiness. But sometimes we feel when we are unhealthy or when we meet someone who likes to you or who are close to us. So at that point, we feel some comfortable or happy. Then that is kind of, suffering of change. So just a temporarily, it can, stay or one moment, maybe 1 hour or 2 hour or 1 day or 2 days. But after that, what? So this is the way, suffering of change. Then the reason is that it never lasts and never satisfied. And the feeling of balance, which is feeling of neutral, which is we call tongyam. Okay, so that is actually represent the suffering of conditioning, which is all contaminated are unsatisfactory, which is third one actually. Is it? Yeah. So this is the three main, divided, feeling, which is a suffering of change, and the suffering of, in I got one text in that, they translated like a suffering of conditioning. Yeah. So all our experience, when mixed with, ignorance or attachment or jealous or those, negative thoughts or negative emotions, then it becomes, more, trouble. Okay. So all our experience, when mixed with ignorance, it sustains the circle existence. Then this circle as existence, or what we call samsara, is it? Then we will know what is the real cause of this samsara, or what is the real cause of suffering. So that's the way. Then Karze explained it in many books, many teachers, the 12 interdependence. Number one is, ignorance, which is the main cause of all the other interdependence, birth or death or grasping or craving, all those came from actually, ignorance, you know. So, so understand the nature of dissatisfaction, faction or suffering in the emotion limb helps us to understand the next two interdependence, which is one is craving or one is grasping. Is it? Yeah. Then by craving, then we want to be free from pain and don't want to leave my comfort zone or don't want those suffering, Those all are the same actually, yeah. I don't want, separate from the happiness or happy. And then realize that the feeling of balance or neutral, we also know how desire leads to the branch of the relationship of acceptance. That is called, I think, sepa. Then it's taking, it's a lemba. So one of the interdependence, okay, 12 interdependence, lemba is taking. Okay, the branch of defilement that continue to grow in the samsara. So among them, actually, there are two kind of desire. The one is grasping of desire and grasping of view. Okay, so those one is rejecting cause and effect, or believing in that over happiness and sufferings are a gift or punishment from the creator. The creator is actually so in Buddhist point of view, all the samsara or whatever we have, sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel unhappy or unhealthy, whatever. So all the creators are actually yourself, Yeah. How um, act, or how you uh, Karze, make balance with your three doors, actually. So through that, sometimes we do bad things, sometimes we do good things, So through that, then we got sometimes happiness, sometimes unhappy, or sometimes we feel sick, sometimes we feel healthy, Those are actually came from we call karma or action. So then craving of inception of ethics and models of conduct as supreme, and view of self, which is grasping or I, myself, kind of like that. So all those, by understanding that all three of those elements are caused by actually ignorance, we can understand the real cause of suffering. Then after that, if we understand what is the real cause of suffering or real cause of samsara, then we will understand the second truth, which is truth of cause or condition, we can say. Or so then comes up Leta Nyemamba, which is the second truth is the karma and emotion or negative emotions. So first to the truth of suffering, Yeah. First we understand what is the truth of suffering, then, but before that, understand what is truth of suffering, then before that we have to understand, what is the cause of this suffering, of this. So then if we want to truly understand, then what is suffering, then it is very important to know what caused it. Once we know that, then we will understand, first two truth, and then also gradually we can understand the second Dharma seal. Okay? Such as Tanje Dungawa Chunamta. And which means all the contaminated things are unsatisfactory, which is the second seal of Dharma or Dharma seal. So those are the actually, connected each other, not really different. Okay, So not only that those two, four Dharma seals or four noble truth, which are mostly those Karsa Buddha Shakyamuni actually taught as 84 Dharma, which are all, connected each other, okay? But in the terms of uh, Dharma word, which we used a slightly different way, that's just the only different, okay? Otherwise, most of the, Dharma are antidote of which we all have that kind of negative thoughts, negative emotions, Some are related with ignorance, some are related with desire, or some are related with jealous or hatred. So then said, then in Abhidhamma, why Buddha taught those 84,000 Dharma. They said each and every, single Dharma has, something to remove, Then what kind of, that one? Then they said there are many, different, negative thoughts and negative emotions. So we have to remove all the negative emotions or negative thoughts. According to that, then Buddha teach us those 84,000. Yeah, so it's also important of seeing the contaminated things as unsatisfactory. The purpose of practicing the second Dharma seal or second mindfulness is to develop renunciation. Yeah, this renunciation is the genuine intention to be free from suffering in the six realms of rebirth in a samsara. So not in the pure line. Of course, there's something have discussed on. We can discuss on the later. Yeah, someone maybe think once in the future, if we can rebirth in a pure land, then we will never suffering. But according to all the contaminated things are kasa dissatisfactory or what? Yeah. According to that, then it's a pure land. Also, they have suffering, So it's a different, contest. But we can, discuss on that later. But whether there is a suffering or not in Amitabha Pure Land is, irrelevant. To the actual practice, we will only need to understand this point. Seeing contaminated thing as unsatisfactory, generate renunciation. Without renunciation, the entire effort we place on the reciting the sutras and prostrating to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, burning incense. Well, those are we are doing every day, as well as practicing like generosity or moral conduct, patience, and so on. So no more than worldly activity. Okay, without renunciation, then then the best result we can expect to is to avoid rebirth in the lower three realms and return as human being or God. Okay, but all of which has nothing to do with liberation. This is something different, teachings. However great over worldly blessings, we cannot transcend samsara. The real objective of our practice is liberation. Liberation means, not, It's a rebirth in a samsara or Karze, God realms. I mean, not rebirth in the three lower realms, and rebirth in the human realms or God realms. You know, human realms or God realms also in the samsara. No matter what, how many times you are rebirth in the human realms or God realms, you know, you are still in the samsara. You are not really, liberation from the suffering. You are still in the suffering. So that's the reason, all the purpose of all the practice are actually, we want, liberation or liberate from suffering or from samsara, to achieve the arhat or to achieve the bodhisattva or Buddhahood, you know. So, not rebirth in the higher realms. As such, we need to establish a path to liberation with the primarily requested being renunciation. All practices that lead to liberation are based on renunciation, actually. Okay? So renunciation is extremely important since we cannot, progress to method in a subsequent stage without it. The purpose of seeing all contaminated thing as suffering is to give rise to a resolution of complete renunciation. Mhm. Although the practice of renunciation is explained in great depth in the words of my perfect teacher. Okay, so we can in the future, okay, if you have time, then you can just go through Shanti Deva's, teaching words of my perfect teacher. Okay, and also time and again in our lecture in this topic, the four Dharma seals contain a set of practice of their own. We shall still teach the actual practice of all contaminated things are unsatisfactory. So then, so unsatisfactory, which means actually, suffering. Sometimes we translate it into English, unsatisfactory or suffering. So then three aspects of suffering, which are suffering of suffering, suffering of change, then or suffering of, we can say, contaminated things, which is very actually difficult to understand, right now. Okay, once we truly understand, I mean, what is the dikasa, truth of suffering? What is the Four Noble Truth? Truth of suffering, the number one, is it? So once we understand what is the truth of suffering, okay, then it's easily we can understand all the contaminated things are suffering or unsatisfactory. Okay, and then to understand why contaminated things are suffering and dissatisfaction, we must first know the Buddha expand two kind of suffering. One is inner and the other one is outer, actually. Okay, the outer kind pertains to the material world, the inner kind of the mental world of suffering. Okay, or one may think suffering is basically a feeling, such as it belongs to a mental world which is inside or inner, not outside. the material world outside is a divide of feeling without feeling, with feeling and without feeling. The without feeling, which is the thing with we are seeing, like a stone on a tree or water or house or car, whatever, those material. When we say unsatisfactory or Karze, dissatisfaction. Most of people think. This is related with the feeling, the experience. Is it? Mm, yeah. So feeling or without feeling, how can it be considered suffering? Although there is no suffering in the world outside, mountain and river and so forth. The external world is also deemed the suffering because it is nonetheless the source of suffering. A part of those two classification, there are also three aspects of suffering, which we already mentioned it. We need to distinguish between those three aspects of suffering in order to truly apprehend why contaminated phenomena are unsatisfactory. So this, differentiation is necessary because of the very broad range of things that are considered impure. If we see suffering only as mental anguish, then we have a limited understanding of what suffering is, Then comes, what is the, suffering of suffering. Then it's sutra, yeah, in sutra says actually, what is the suffering of suffering? Then it is that which is painful when arising and painful when remaining and pleasant when changing. That's just called actually suffering of suffering. Then and sometimes we explain those what is the suffering of suffering. Then they said, for giving example, one of the like a family, we have a parents, a kids, a husband, wife, a close friends and brother and sisters, all living together. Then like today, if your mother pass away, then after a few days, then suddenly your dad or your brother and sister, one of them suddenly pass away. Then it's continuously, those suffering are, the coming, continuously. So that kind of, the suffering is actually, the explain it. This is the suffering of suffering. But in the sutra said, when it's arising, it's painful. When it's, remaining, also painful. Then when it's changing, then you feel a little bit happy. So this is, um, suffering of, suffering, There are countless actually different categories of suffering as we can appreciate if we consider even just the hot and cold hells. So many, each and every 6 different types of beings, like hell realms, then animals and human, god and hungry ghost, those all we have a different kind of suffering. So like in the hell realms they have hell because of hot and cold, eight hell hot different places, and then cold eight different kind of cold places, and each and every different the suffering. You know. So then also human realms also we have like suffering of birth, suffering of um, change or no age, aging or something. That's suffering of death. So many different we have. So according to the abhidharma, separation from what we hold dear, and having to encounter what is undesirable and not getting what we want are all included under the suffering of the actually change. Okay, so there is no contradiction. However, since in that abhidharma text, they explain it as if they had not yet occurred but are bound to be experienced at the same time in the future. Whereas here we are speaking about what is like when we actually experience separation from what we hold dear one, encountering something undesirable and not getting what we want. So all those, in the human realms, we have, briefly, they explain we have, eight kind of, different suffering. But most of us, we have, just like um, the birth and aging and sick and death. These are the four is more common. So no matter what, if we are rebirth in this, human life again and again, still you are in the samsara. You are going, Karze, circling. So you're still you need to, practice and more genuine practice. Okay, with the good intention. The whenever you are doing any kind of dharma activities, not just a dharma, any kind of good activities which is benefit for yourself, benefit for others. You know, so that all dependent on how you carry your motivate or intention. If you have a good motivate or motivation or good intentions, then I think those practices real helps you, liberate from the samsara. Otherwise, if you don't have a good motivation or good intentions, then those uh, activities are just a worldly kind of, you know, so you are, bringing in this samsara again and again. You cannot, liberate from the samsara. And then also to knowing the truth, which is we call actually wisdom, is really important. They call vipassana, you know, and shamatha vipassana. But this are the actually all related with both. We are not just focusing on one side. We are just practicing by because unit, vipassana and shamatha both. Okay, just think about that. How all contaminated things are suffering. Then you have to think, this table or this flower, how it is suffering. Most of us suffering is related with our feeling, is it? Yeah. But when we understand what is the because the truth of suffering, then we can understand what is the also we can say second Dharma seal or second mindfulness. So this is the one. Today we are not actually focusing on suffering of suffering. Okay, just think, like that way. Then just concentrate on that. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Okay. Tables. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a three aspect of suffering. The first two is a little bit, I think, easy to understand than the last one, Last one is quite hard or difficult, because it's when we talking about Karze, suffering, then we maybe all of us think it's related with itself as feeling, but last suffering, which is not real the feeling, is not really talking about the feeling, it's talking about auto material things. Those things produced by cause and conditions, So this is something, a little bit difficult to understand, People say when they're saying the suffering, then how it's become like this, the Karze flower, how this is, suffering. Yeah. So through this is, this flower is, related with our feeling, is it? Yeah, like some ida means hungry ghost. Like us, when we see moon, we feel happy or we feel something, coolness. But hungry ghosts, when they saw the moon, they feel heat or hot, really hot. Then like that, the moon itself is not actually, we don't say this is suffering, but that moon is related with something, feeling, with some are related with the feeling happy or some are unhappy, kind of like that. Yeah, that's why then the second Dharma seal is saying contaminated things are unsatisfactory, which means it's the same as the last Karze, suffering, the third suffering. Is it?
Khenpo, can you say more about contaminated, the word contaminated? What is actually meant?
That one is also
contaminated
or conditioned. Sometimes I think say the conditioned thing. Yeah. Nduji, we call nduji, which means something that produced by cause and conditions. Yeah.
So it's contaminated.
Yeah.
Is that the same as compounded things? Like when we think about things that are compounded in their components, so they obviously will come apart at some point. Is that the idea, or are they contaminated? Oftentimes in English is meaning unclean, dirty.
Oh, really? Not really that one, actually. Yeah. Here is because contaminated thing. Because that's why I'm not, Karze, went in detail, that contaminated. This first 2 pages, actually, yeah. Because it's a different, those schools are different explanations, yeah. So in the Abhidharma, actually, what is contaminated and what is not contaminated, then these differences explained, actually, yeah. That everything that is impure is contaminated, what you said. Okay, this actually includes all kinds of attachment and object of attachment. Yeah. Or sometimes we say, sometimes we say object, subject. All the object and subjects are included in this contaminated. Not pure, or not real, or not truth. Yeah. The not truth or not pure means things which are produced by cause and condition. Okay, this impure, which means actually not really the what we done, before what's the body mindfulness at that point, not really that one. Okay, this impure means think those produced by cause and conditions. That's just the different, samsara and nirvana. Samsara, all, produced by cause and conditions. The nirvana, there's nothing, Nirvana, there can't be cause, like I said, produced by cause and conditions. This is one of, then this one is also one of the, hardest, the subject one. Yeah, sometimes why we are doing, those practices, because we want to, liberate from the suffering. Once we liberate it, which means the Buddhahood, what that the Buddhahood, where that Buddhahood came from. In the ordinary point of view, we can say that Buddha came from something cause, which is if we do good things, you will get good result, But in the ultimate truth, then it's a different, So this is one of the, tough or hardest, one of topic, okay? Yeah, that's a Karze, samsara, nirvana. They're also saying that they're contaminated. Yeah.
So that if something's not contaminated, it's pure.
Pure. Yeah, we can say.
Uncompounded.
Yeah. Something's not uncontaminated, then that one is, we can say, no more suffering. Which means in the Abhidharma we call same. Okay, contaminated, which is sachi. Not contaminated is same. So this is two different. Sachi, which means produced by cause and condition. Same, which means not produced by cause and conditions. Yeah. Or Sachi, or sometimes we call samsara and nirvana. Yeah. Yeah, he is saying that included kind of attachment, or object of attachment. Everything that is pure is not contaminated. This includes the absence of any attachment and object of attachment, a state attained by bodhisattvas from the first stage up when abiding in the truth of reality. Okay? Then it's a different explanation what is attachment, what is object of attachment. Yeah, those all came from Abhidharma.
So when we say contaminated, it's almost like contaminated by our perception.
Mhm.
Like we can say a flower is suffering because there is a flower. Like
No, this flower, I mean, is how to say, through this flower, suffering. I mean, the flower is not suffering, but it affects you. The reason of that, all the Karze produced by cause and conditions, those are, they said, the Sachi, which is the second Dharma seal, Duje Tanje Midaba, Sache Tanje Dungawa, which means, yeah, it can affect you actually to bring suffering. Like this table also sometimes can hurt you.
But there's only a table because of you, and there's only a flower because of you, in a way, right?
Because
Like a flower is not a flower without you making it a flower, in a way, right?
Yeah, of course, it depends on how you from your mind, how you projection that object, like the poison. Some poisons, for us, poisons, when you eat poisons, we will die, But some the beings, I mean, like what we call that, magja, peacock, they can take that poison as like a medicine. Yeah, it's all, I mean, over projections. It's a game of projection, Yeah, something like that, I think. Because when we see this one cup of water, then we saw it's just a water, But some beings, this is seen like very dirty things. There's a different projections. I mean, every beings have a different. But all that, I mean, produced by cause and conditions, then we consider it's contaminated. Then it's say this all the unsatisfactory. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Sometimes it's difficult, to understand those Yeah. When we talk about the suffering, then it's related with our feeling, you know. Itself, I mean, feeling, suffering means. But in the text, so the two kind of suffering, which is one is itself feeling, and one is without feeling, which is outer things, outer materials, considered as suffering, you know. So this is two different, I mean, it's sometimes they are difficult to understand, you know. Yeah.
Khenpo, when you say feeling,
Uh,
can you also use perception?
yeah. Perception. Yeah, you can say sometimes.
This is a very ordinary example. I want to be sure I understand.
Mm.
A good example, ordinary life, like if I make spicy food and you say, oh, I love this. And somebody like Ani Droga said, oh no, I won't touch this is spicy, it's gonna burn me, it's gonna, like it's all perception.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But somebody can say, no way, I'm not gonna touch this, too spicy. And you say, oh, I love it, this is the kind of food I like. Is that what you're saying? That it's all our perception, everybody's different.
Yeah.
How we perceive or feel about, I'm not gonna go to that restaurant because it's always spicy. But some people love it.
Yeah.
This is a very ordinary example.
Yeah.
How to
Kind of like that. Or sometimes we can experience.
Experience.
Yeah.
Your experience.
Yeah.
Your feelings.
Feelings, experience, or sometimes also emotions. So there's many, Karze, different, I mean, words or different way how to explain. Yeah. But we can say this is this word is the exactly, right. Sometimes they explain with the feeling, sometimes they emotion, sometimes they experience. Yeah. Difficult, I mean.
Khenpo is all reaction suffering. Is all reaction suffering.
Yeah. But we feel, of course, sometimes we feel if we have something new, like, like a new dress or new phone, new car, if we have that kind of things, then, we feel happy, But that is just a temporary. The temporary happiness or happy is we are not really considered as happiness because it keep changing, So what is all that this kasa practicing or all the what we are doing, activities, all purpose of to get long-lasting happiness, not that just a temporary. Temporary, of course, we all have that kind of temporary happiness, but those are just few days or few months or sometimes few years. After that, what? Yeah, it's gone, So similar like that. Then if we think like that way, then we how to say we can we will understand the what is the truth of, I mean, those Four Noble Truths, sorry. Yeah, we can understand it slowly, Um, 履些团结没大吧，没大吧 impermanent, sorry. Yeah, one is impermanence, Yeah. Because today, if we bought a new car, then after a few years, it become old, Yeah. So if we, Karze, think really careful on that. The between, I mean, when we bought till that car become old, in between that, I mean, year or month, the how, it keep changing. If we observe that kind of, then we are, thinking actually impermanence also. Everything is in the same in that way, it's keep changing. That is called actually impermanence. So then you can just by yourself, how I'm, changed till now, you can put your photo, your pictures when you're born, then 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, different pictures you can put on in front of your table, then you can just experience, Yeah. So then you can understand, the impermanence. What is the impermanence? Which means it's a changing. Yeah, not stay in one shape. I mean, if you are, permanent, then you will never, grow up actually. Yeah. If I say I'm permanent, that means you are forever, young or child. Yeah. So you can just, think like that way, then, understand what is the impermanence. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, then we can practice this. I mean, short.
All right, so we can read this in English. Home in the northwest
Liana,
born
born
in
in
marvelous,
endowed with the most marvelous spiritual attainment. You are renovated as the blood Buddha, surrounded by a renovated following in eminent state. I pray to you. Please come in the Hu Pema Siddhi Hum. Om Ah Hum Benzanguru Pema Siddhi Hum. Your thousand eyes, your thousand eyes, the thousand Buddhas of the Sufi age. You will teach each and every one us according to our needs. Lord, our Lokiteshwaraya, to you I pay homage. Omani Pema Hum Shi. Omani Pema Omani Pema. Omani Pema Omani Pema Omani Pema Hum Omani Pema Hum Omani Pema. Omani Pema Omani Pema Omani Pema Omani Pema. Money be 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 Release.
And then on the backside, the dedication. By this virtue,
To
may I
now swiftly accomplish the state of Chenrezig, and may all sentient beings without exception.
place in that very state.
By this effort, may all sentient beings be free of suffering. May their mind be filled with natural virtue. In this way, may all causes resulting in suffering will be extinguished, and only the light of compassion shall improve all realms.
And thank you again, Khenpo Karze, for offering us a teaching this morning, along with the meditation practice. As a reminder, to honor the birthday today of our teacher, the Venerable Jetsma Lama, at 4 p.m. there we will celebrate with a practice called the Ritsen Dupa, and again at 7 p.m. In addition, we have some light refreshments coming, so we invite you to stay and please join us for kind of a casual mingling along with that. Also, it is very customary to make offerings to our teachers, both to Jetsma Kalamo, to Khenpo Karze, to the temple, and there's offering baskets right here, or you can do it, there's ways to do it virtually as well. So thank you again for joining us. At 1 o'clock, there will be a drumming afterwards across the street. So that will be happening, and please join us. So please stay a few minutes, and we invite you to just join us and relax. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Like a napkin.